In the very beginning, before anyone had ever lived, there was no sound, no light, and no people. There was only God. And God had a beautiful plan. He wanted to create a wonderful world full of color, animals, and people who would love him and take care of the earth. So God spoke. And when he spoke, things happened. The sky was made, the land appeared, the sun and moon began to shine, and oceans rolled and danced. Trees grew tall and green. Flowers opened their colorful petals. Birds flew across the blue sky, and animals filled the fields and forests. But something was missing. God looked at his creation and said, "Let us make man in our image." And so began the story of the first man and woman, Adam and Eve, and the beautiful garden where they lived. God bent down and formed the first man from the dust of the ground. He shaped him carefully, just like a potter making a beautiful clay pot. Then God did something very special. He breathed into the man's nose, and the man came alive. His name was Adam. Adam opened his eyes and looked around. Everything was fresh and new. The sky was so blue, the grass so green, and the trees so tall. He saw animals of every shape and color. Elephants, lions, rabbits, butterflies, and birds singing in the trees. God smiled at Adam and said, "Welcome, Adam. I made all of this for you. I have a special place for you to live." Then God planted a garden. It wasn't just any garden. It was the most beautiful garden ever. It had rivers of fresh water, trees that stretched to the sky, and sweet fruit on every branch. It was called the Garden of Eden. God brought Adam to the garden and said, "Take care of this garden, name the animals, and enjoy everything here. You are free to eat from any tree, except one." Adam tilted his head. "Only one tree?" God nodded. "Yes, the tree in the middle of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat from it. If you do, you will surely die." Adam listened carefully. He didn't know what die meant, but he trusted God and obeyed. Days passed, and Adam grew to love the animals in the garden. He gave names to each creature. "You're a giraffe." He laughed as a tall, long-necked animal ate leaves from a high tree. "And you're a monkey." He giggled as a playful animal swung from tree branches. But something felt incomplete. The animals had each other. There were boy lions and girl lions, boy birds and girl birds. But Adam was alone. No one looked like him. No one to laugh with. No one to share a story. No one to say, "Good morning." God saw Adam sitting quietly by the river one evening and said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper just right for him." So God made Adam fall into a deep, deep sleep. While Adam slept peacefully, God took one of his ribs and carefully formed a woman. She was perfect. She had bright eyes, soft hair, and a kind smile. When Adam woke up, God brought the woman to him. Adam's eyes grew wide with joy. "Wow," he whispered. "She looks like me. This is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man," he said. God smiled. "Her name is Eve. She is your partner. Together, you will take care of this garden and everything in it." Adam and Eve were the first people on earth. They were husband and wife, best friends and caretakers of God's paradise. Adam and Eve were very happy in the Garden of Eden. Every day felt like a special adventure. They walked through tall green grass. They ate juicy fruits and nuts from the trees. They played with animals, laughing as deer danced, and lions napped beside them like kittens. There were no scary things. No sickness. No pain. No death. And best of all, God walked with them in the garden. In the cool of the evening, they would hear his gentle voice. "Adam, Eve, where are you?" He would call. "We're here." They would answer, running to him joyfully. God talked with them like a friend. He taught them how to care for the animals and love each other. There was no fear in their hearts, only peace and joy. One day Eve asked, "Adam, have you ever wondered about that tree in the middle of the garden?" Adam looked toward it. It had the most beautiful fruit, glowing in the sunlight. "I've looked," he said, "but I remember God's warning. He told us not to eat from it. He said we would surely die." Eve nodded. "Yes, I remember too." And they walked away, hand in hand. But someone else had been watching them. Someone who was not happy. In the shadows of the garden, a crafty creature slithered through the grass. It was the serpent. And it was not just any serpent. Satan, the enemy of God, had entered the snake and had a plan to trick Eve. One quiet morning, Eve was walking alone, admiring the flowers and humming to herself. Then she heard a voice. "Hello, Eve." She turned around. A snake was curled around the branch of the tree in the middle, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" the snake hissed with a crooked smile. Eve frowned. "No, we can eat from all the trees, except this one. God said not to eat it, or even touch it, or we will die." The serpent laughed. "You won't die. God just knows that if you eat it, your eyes will be opened. You'll be just like him, knowing good and evil." Eve looked at the fruit. It was beautiful. It looked sweet. She wondered what it would taste like. A tiny voice inside said, "Don't do it." But another voice, the sneaky one, whispered, "It will make you wise." She reached out and picked the fruit. She took a bite. Nothing happened. She didn't fall down. She didn't feel sick. In fact, it tasted good. She quickly ran to find Adam. "Try it," she said excitedly. "It's not bad." The snake was right. Adam looked at her, then at the fruit in her hand. He loved Eve. And even though he remembered God's warning, he also took a bite. Suddenly everything changed. The moment they ate the fruit, their eyes were opened. And for the first time, they realized they were naked. They felt strange, embarrassed, and full of shame. They rushed to gather big leaves to cover themselves. Then they heard the sound of God walking in the garden. "Adam, where are you?" God's voice called out. Adam and Eve hid among the trees. Their hearts pounded with fear. God called again. "Adam, where are you?" Adam peeked out from behind a tree. "I heard you. And I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." God asked gently, "Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree I told you not to?" Adam hung his head. "Yes, but it was the woman you gave me. She gave me the fruit." God looked at Eve. "What have you done?" Eve said, "The serpent tricked me and I ate." God was very sad. His children had disobeyed him. The beautiful garden had been a place of peace, but now sin had entered the world. God turned to the serpent and said, "Because you did this, you will crawl on your belly and eat dust all your life. One day, the child of a woman will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." To Eve, God said, "You will feel pain, and life will be hard sometimes. But you will still be a mother of many." To Adam, God said, "You will have to work hard for food. The ground will have thorns. Life will not be easy." And then with a heavy heart, God made clothes for Adam and Eve out of animal skins. He told them they could no longer stay in the Garden of Eden. God placed mighty angels at the garden's entrance with flaming swords, so no one could go back in. Adam and Eve walked away from the garden, hand in hand, their hearts full of sorrow. They missed the sound of God's voice in the evenings. They missed the peace of the garden, the laughter with the animals, and the joy of a perfect world. But even though they had sinned, God still loved them. He didn't leave them alone. As they built a new home outside the garden, they began a family. They worked, they prayed, and they learned more about God. They taught their children about the garden, about God's love, and about the day when a Savior would come to make everything right again. Because God had a plan. He always did. One day, many years later, that promised Savior Jesus would come. He would defeat sin and death, and give people the chance to walk with God again. What to learn from this story? That obedience matters. God gives rules because He loves us and wants to keep us safe. That temptation is real. We must be careful about what voices we listen to. That God still loves us. Even when we make mistakes, He doesn't stop loving us. That Jesus is the promise. Long ago, God promised a Savior, and He kept His word. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification button for more amazing stories.